Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time to review a classic. I'm so excited to finally be talking about the goth rock band The Cure in a dedicated video. I've grown increasingly fond of them over the past decade, and today, thanks to my Patreon supporter Noah Tomlinson, I'll be sharing my thoughts on their 1989 LP, Disintegration. I've known of The Cure since my childhood, but I didn't know The Cure until the late 2000s when I was in high school. See, pretty much everybody on the planet can at the bare minimum hum along to Just Like Heaven. Hell, most could probably sing back the hook to Friday I'm in Love, but what I've noticed over time is that these goth rockers seem to be known by name and image only, which is a total fucking atrocity because their music is ecstasy. Disintegration lives as the result of their frontman Robert Smith's disillusionment with fame. Something I didn't realize for many years is just how pop-centric the band got during the mid to late 80s. Definitely a far cry from their gothic rock and punk roots, which was fine, but a little bit weird even if the music was still really good. This seriously could not be a better time for me to cover the album, given that Smith was frantically trying to create his magnum opus before the age of 30. I'm currently 29 going on 30, and I get it on a much smaller level, but I do truly understand the feeling of being almost 3 decades old, and you're not sure if you made a true impact you're proud of yet. Legions of their fans still name this as The Cure's best work, and while I've got a super personal relationship to their 1992 follow-up Wish that probably still makes it my favorite overall, let me know in the comments or with a like on the video if you'd like to see me review that, Disintegration is a masterpiece any which way you spin it. Disintegration hits like a pile of bricks with a thick, ethereal atmosphere. Much of the narrative surrounds an individual at the brink of their humanity, torn between lovesick fantasies and a bleak reality that never fails to shred every expectation they may have held out hope for. It's an intense listen, but The Cure cast a spell over everything they touch, making it feel like a distant dream, maybe a map of relatability for the lost souls in search of a fellow tortured soul. Either way, you'll find comfort in the layers they unfold, taking their time to build up lush atmospheres before dropping the hammer and dazzling with some unforgettable passages. By the time Disintegration released in 1989, New Wave wasn't exactly the new kid in town. Actually, it was more like stale toast on the side of the road. The genre was overloaded and uncool at that point, but the heavy uses of synthesizers by The Cure, along with prodding bass, delicate dreamy guitar work, and finely tuned drumming, it made their 8th album more goth wave than what most would consider new wave. Age is nothing but a number, but it's a focal point that tethers our mortal bodies to the unknown. The whole record revolves around growing old, at least to some degree, with the chilling Closedown serving as the album's most straightforward march to death, with that culling bass line paired against a melancholic mood where Smith simply sings, "I'm running out of time." It's a simple observation, but it's a powerful one that quickly summarizes the album's mood. Losing yourself beneath the sound waves isn't hard. You feel the pull with the majestic opener Plainsong, and suddenly it's over an hour and 12 minutes later and you're lost in a sea of wonder. I know I bring up the flow of albums probably way too often, but bear with me here. This is one of the most brilliantly paced experiences I've ever had. It's hard to find a flaw with an album like this. The organic sounds mesh with a synthetic world to basically roll out the gates of heaven for Robert Smith's timeless voice, and good God does it shine like a tormented angel on all 12 songs. Switching it on so effortlessly seems natural yet rehearsed because the album's timing is almost always on point. So yes, while there are a few late in the record experiences that do drag on a few minutes too long, I'd be lying if I said it bothered me to the point of affecting my love for the album. It's probably just my shitty attention span. David M. Allen's production alongside Robert Smith is marvelous even in its original form. The 2010 remaster did wonders to further evoke the cutting strings, the chimes, the fantastical moments of grandeur that set the album on fire with the perfect cocktail of melodrama. We could sit here and talk about how wonderful the guitars, the vocals, and hell, obviously that rhythm section are, but beyond those giants lie the overall mix that captures so many feelings at the same time. And that, my friends, that's something that you can't slap a price tag on. Prepare for a full album journey with Disintegration, okay? You can sample some of the highlights, sure. I listen to some of my favorites out of turn just like anyone else would, but I gotta put my foot down here and be the bad guy and bully you until you listen to the entire album in one sitting. Angry Papa John isn't so fun when he's disobeyed, huh?
Do as I say! Listen to all 12 songs immediately!
People always ask with classic albums, top 5, what are your top 5 songs? So allow me to indulge by listing those before talking about what makes them so special. In no particular order, I'd say Prayers for Rain, Untitled, Pictures of You, Closedown, and Lullaby. All stunning songs in their own right, and absolutely no disrespect to any of the others that aren't quite in the top 5, but there you go. The way Robert Smith writes always has me on the line and hooked for more. It's tragedy, it's poetry, it's symmetry all at once. I'd say the single Pictures of You exemplifies these qualities in every way. You can get caught up in the feeling of what used to be, or maybe what you imagined it would be, yet all you're left with is these endless film reels playing in your head. I love the back-to-back pairing of two longer epics, Prayers for Rain and The Same Deep Water as You, with water kind of serving as a representation for hope. Prayers strikes this daunting mood of desperation with some of Smith's best vocals on the record, but things seamlessly shift towards doom as Deep Water, that one turns a failing relationship inside out, looking for a reason, yet there's none to be found, and the music represents the walls caving in around him. Lullaby is the most terrifying piece of the puzzle, though. When you hold up a magnifying glass to those lyrics, you gather that some form of abuse from a family member, it seems like, at a young age occurred, and as satisfying as those instrumental arrangements might be to the ears, this isn't exactly an easy listen, even if I stand by this being one of The Cure's best songs. On a very different note, praise is definitely due for something that's kinda unique for The Cure at least. Lovesong has some very tantalizing synths and an unforgettable bass line, and of course an endearing tearing open of the heart from Smith himself, which is something we don't often see. He wrote this song for his wife Mary just as they were starting their life together. It's a gothic love song that somehow still sounds gloomy as heck, even though the message is kinda happy. Cutting over to the album's title track, Disintegration, you really can't put into words the brooding impact a song like this has. That instrumental loop, driven by a shimmering bass performance, gives rise to Smith's vocal crescendos that slowly hit this manic state as the song rolls along for over 8 minutes. Last Dance is also noteworthy as it details the feeling of really feeling nothing for somebody that you used to care about deeply. Emptiness washes over you, as does the music, and I know the exact sensation he's describing, and it's a very eerie one that sticks with you over time. Fascination Street deserves a standing ovation for the fact that it even exists. Obviously, a classic tune with a ton of iconic performances from all of The Cure's members, but the final song I want to single out that's not talked about as often is the swan song Untitled, which, rabbit hole theory here, I really think Blink-182 may have left their 2003 album as Untitled because of this song. Think about it, Robert Smith is featured on their track All of This, the album is Untitled, this Cure song is Untitled, it all adds up! But yeah, as far as the song as itself goes, it's breathtaking. The drums are so crisp, his voice is at the front of the mix, and it sounds so sure and certain despite the message being a little bit mixed. It's kind of a clean slate ceremony to send us on our way. Robert Smith caught my attention as a teenager because of his guest appearance on a Blink-182 album. Now I'm sitting here almost 2 decades later reviewing an album that's older than me by a band that Robert's been a part of since the 70s. This record fucks me up in all of the best ways, so without further ado, here's a perfect 5-star rating for the English band's 8th album, Disintegration. Thank you so much for watching this throwback review of The Cure, and shout out again to my patron Noah Tomlinson for the request. Don't hesitate to hit that like button if you want to see more throwback reviews in the future, and visit the top link down below if you'd like to support me on Patreon and get a request in. You can see another classic review here, or tap here for a new album I covered. And I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll be back soon for more on ARTV.